I'm Liel Maghen. It's been 10 years that I work on bringing people together across Israel and Palestine, bring together Israelis and Palestinians basically, creating shared spaces of interactions, usually aiming at direct actions in the field, whether in urban development, sustainability, and art in the public space. So I helped to establish the Sinsila Center, which is an urban sustainability center in Palestinian side of Jerusalem, East Jerusalem. And it's focusing on women empowerment through urban farming and beekeeping and community organizing around principles of sustainability. Besides that, I co-directed a shared Israeli-Palestinian organization called the Center for Regional Initiatives. And there we formed working groups across Jerusalem, shared working groups to tackle issues in the city level. And besides that, we established recently the organization of May, we call it, but it's another shared organization, mainly in focusing on using art and harnessing art in raising awareness and bringing people together across lines of conflict.
My name is Omar. I'm Egyptian filmmaker and storyteller. Been mainly making films and media and content that is focused on either expressing or driving change in different arenas.
How do you two know each other?
We met at the summit in Athens for the first time. That was, I think, in 2018, the GATHER Summit. So I had not been really in any organized, doing any organized work really for quite some time. Most of my activism and projects is usually self-initiated. So I was attending this summit that had Israelis and Palestinians and Indians and Pakistanis and Kashmiris and Croatian, all people from the Balkans, and it was kind of this interesting and overwhelming mix of people. But then I can't remember. I think it was on the excursion. On the excursion, we were at this at that place Solomon, and as we're like touring around, I think Liel was the first. He kind of approached me. I was still a bit, I won't say shy. I kind of like finding like my space and trying to like figure out who in this group is going to be the person I'm going to be hanging out with. And then I think Liel just like broke that line. I think he mentioned
Motaz.
He mentioned Motaz, which is one of my best friends. He's someone that we. He's not just a friend. He's just someone that we have this intellectual. He's my intellectual sparring partner, and it's just immediately then I just kind of like had this sigh of relief. I was like, okay, that's my guy. I know him, and we immediately decided to play a prank on Motaz. And so we're in a gallery, and I was like, I'm in this great gallery in Athens, man. I wish you were here. And I take a selfie of myself, and Liel is pretending to like check out a painting in the back. So Motaz was totally freaked out about the freak coincidence that he bringing these two, probably very similar people in his life together as well. But that was just a really cool moment because sometimes it's something that's not in the room that's like that's gonna actually sort of like bring you together, something that's completely not obvious. So I'm glad that coincidence happened. Yeah. I'm glad you approached.
Yeah, me too. And after that, after the summit that we spent some time together, both of us applied to become part of the fellowship in 2019. So we had a whole year of being a part of the program. So we had a few days that we spent together in Sweden in the beginning of the program, a few days in New York in the end. And over that year, we were also part of the same pod, which is basically a small group within the program that kind of have more regular checkups in between the members of the group. So we kind of deepened our communication and so that we want to promote same things in the region. First of all, it was clear that he's not a part of these programs for a long time, so he didn't find his place so much and wasn't sure why he's there really. And also I noticed that he's kind of from an older generation, probably has stories from early times of Seeds of Peace. It was very interesting for me to get to know him. And when he said he's from Egypt, I immediately kind of connected him to another friend that I have from Egypt, who were part of the same program in Jordan a while back. And it was a common connection. It was great. And I'm happy it made you like open up and feel more like that you have trust or more secure with me.
And I'm being very honest about this. I think I continue to observe Liel constantly and learn a lot from him and from kind of like his. There's something I'm dying to say. It's just in the land of stereotypes. I'll stay away from that. But he's just he has such a soft disposition on dialogue. He's able to engage without really being abrasive in any way. And he's nuanced and I just appreciate so many things about sort of what he brings to the table, both personally and in talking about like these very difficult subjects. And his like deep sense of compassion it's almost unmatched, I think, in the group, which already says something. So yeah, not to blow too much hot air up.
Oh, thank you. Really touched by what you said. For me, with Wael, I admire his sense of curiosity, and he's all the time asking questions and want to learn more. And he's not coming from a position of knowing the best that usually people have in relating to the conflict in Israel-Palestine or to the history of the place. He managed to keep his open mind and wanting to ask questions. That's first of all. But second is that Wael was an inspiration to move me into the field of documentary. I've now managed to secure some funding to do a documentary of a project that I'm having. And it's something that Wael inspired in me and showed me several...
Dating a filmmaker, no?
Yes. Showed me a few times that it's possible, and there is a lot of room and a lot of importance in creating content. Not just to work within our silos, but to try to spread our messages abroad. And he inspired me in New York, where in one of the evenings, we screened one of his movies, Stories of Oil and Sand, that was filmed during the demonstrations at Tahrir Square in Cairo, speaking about the history of Egypt. And he brought a perspective that I didn't see before. And only that inspired me to understand the importance of documentary and storytelling and filming.
There's probably like a common value, something in common that creates this much.
Common love for nihilism? No, I'm joking. I think coming from probably conservative backgrounds, we're both people that separately took these paths to I think a more progressive and what was the question?
What is the common value that we have,
yeah.
or common interest? What brings us together at the moment?
I think that the quest for progress, the quest for like a truly like human read on everything, as opposed to one that's just colored by identity politics and geopolitics. I think that's the one thing that really we both have like an extreme, as much as like that can play a bias in whatever we think or we have that extreme desire to look beyond that constantly.
What do you mean by that?
Look beyond the identity. We're from a region that is, we grew up very much with these indoctrinations, and so to be able to push through that and constantly want to push through that is not sort of an easy thing. And I think that's something that both me and Liel share, that we've taken it upon ourselves to constantly I'll step into the uncomfortable a little further just to see what's on the other side and see like what I can do with it, as opposed to like retreating, to the comfort of the larger, majority position.
Both of us connected in a human level, even if we put aside values or ambitions for the future. It's very difficult to when you bring people together, it's very difficult to understand what will connect them. And sometimes something happens, and something special, and it creates new friendship. And I think both of us kind of were complemented each other, whether in the sense of humor and areas of interest and experiences in the past and common friends. So we became kind of these peers within GATHER, which can be like lots of people and can be sometimes overwhelming. But within this also there is a lot of influence that our friendship was almost a result of GATHER activities. And without GATHER we wouldn't meet, without the GATHER program we wouldn't deepen our relationships, and without GATHER we wouldn't meet now, you know? I didn't see you for a couple of years. So it's kind of a relationship that is influenced and also is energized by this larger GATHER community and our ability to stay in touch through GATHER spheres.
No, nothing in particular. I mean, it's funny because like, as I think of it now, we've spent a total of like 5-6 days to 8 days of our lives actually together. But we've had a lot of online time, you know, Zoom, you know, we've spent a lot of time online together. But no, if anything, I mean, we've just had like really interesting conversations. We share a slightly dark sense of humor and we appreciate that. And so we can't really, you know, on camera, you know, talk about that because we also have a highly inappropriate sense of humor most of the time. You know? But I think that's. I mean, I look forward to the continued opportunities to create those stories and those moments.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing is that while we are basically in neighboring countries, but while he's not visiting Israel and I did not visit Cairo. And
we're constantly making plans to see each other in Sinai, and then like 3 days before that date where we're supposed to do, we both disappear. We both ghost each other, which is hilarious, and then like, you know, warmly like reconnect like 2 months later and talk about our excuses online. And, you know, it's like we're very Middle Eastern in that way. It's very non-committal.
Yeah, but I think the important point is that we needed to travel to Sweden and to Morocco and to New York to see each other. Like we don't make the effort of doing it close by. And I think there is also things that are related to the politics of the region and the politics of our countries. Us meeting in Cairo would be very different than us meeting abroad. And him visiting Israel, I don't know if it will happen because of the harsh implication it can have on his career. So it's something that is always there. Like,
Unfortunately.
can we say it on camera? What your concern of traveling to Israel because of
there's no need to. Having Liel in my life is a great, like, also kind of like compass on how I should be dealing with the challenges that I'm dealing with in whatever projects I'm doing, or my outlook towards the conflict in the region as well. So it's always good to have that because, you know, when you're alone, you can often, you know, sort of slip into that depression or that despair. But it's funny because even when you're two despairing people, you somehow has this like canceling effect, and you kind of are able to like lift each other up just enough to continue doing that work almost. I know that's kind of like a weird concept, but like that's how I felt, you know, having some of these like these previous conversations with you recently, some of the others.
Yeah.
So it's like we got to keep doing what we're doing.
Yes. I would add that I'm in this journey of reconnecting with my roots. My family originally from Libya, and we have some activities that are within the Jewish Libyan diaspora, but it's very difficult to reconnect with my real history and heritage and roots. And friendships like with Wael or others, Egyptian friends that I met through GATHER and similar programs, allow me to be exposed to the region and learn about its history that is not being taught in Israel, and learn about different phenomena within African continent and North African politics that I didn't know before, and be exposed to culture that I didn't have any access to.
Do you feel like having force you to challenge the mainstream that exists in your own? Do you have conversations that also?
Absolutely. I mean, I think probably, you know, COVID has stifled that ability to, like, you know, to maybe to actually start something operationally or collaborate operationally, but it's given us the chance to build a lot of, like, develop a few ideas, and those sort of we continue to discuss and talk about how we can do that, and they are certainly, you know, projects and discussions that challenge the status quo. How fast, and, you know, we can get them up and running is, I think, is just a question of time and getting all the moving parts together. But yeah, I think we have that on our agenda, and we've had the chance, you know, in the last 2 years to at least, you know, ideate a lot about that in depth.
Yeah, I think also there are different levels. Like the status quo is, of course, imposed in a systemic level, and it interferes in interpersonal relationship, but it also has a lot of influence on your personal daily lives. And for me, having a friendship with an Egyptian friend on a regular basis, maintaining contact, asking how is it over there, what's going on, what do you think about that, look what's happening here, allows me in my own personal life to kind of challenge the separation that is imposed on me and the biases in regarding to the region. And maybe in my own circle, small circle of friends, I managed to inspire people to think differently. I hope to be managed to film or to screen Wael's movies in Tel Aviv, and then to bring more people to the table. I hope that one day it will happen. I liked him with a full beard, and then I like the more. I like his mustache.
I agree.
Liar. The internet was not ready for my mustache.
Done, guys.
Done?
Done.
For sure?
Thank you.
Habibi.